Welcome. Today is the first day of our unit on creating little felt plush creatures. And if you've rascaled around Pinterest like I have, then chances are you've seen things like this, or, just generally little novelty stuffed animals. If you're anything like me, you're liking these a lot and kind of wanting to know how to make them yourself. So before we get into how to interpret the pattern and turn them inside out and all of that jazz, we have to know how to do the basic blanket stitch and whip stitch. So I have already assembled everything that you need in these baggies on my desk. And the only thing that you're gonna need is a pair of scissors, which you can get from the drawer behind my desk over here, or if you happen to have your own, like I talked about in the supply video. So what we're gonna do to practice the blanket stitch is line up the two pieces of felt so that they overlap. Starting at one of the corners, we're gonna sew 3 of the seams together. So starting here, we're gonna go over, 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 and then fasten off right here. So before we can get into sewing anything, we need to thread the needle. So grab the needle and thread, carefully thread the needle. If you need help with this, just let me know. And then definitely don't tie up the thread to the needle because that will screw everything up. You do, however, want to tie a knot at the bottom of the thread. So if the needle is here, you go all the way down to the bottom of the tail and tie a knot right there. And this way it will catch on the fabric and keep things nice and secure. At this point, you're ready to begin sewing. When doing the blanket stitch, or at least how we're gonna do it for this class, it is important to remember that you always are going away from yourself with the needle. So starting at the corner, I'm going to go through both pieces of felt and then pull the thread all the way through until the knot catches at the back. Then you're gonna go a stitch width over, or in other words, just a little bit over, and then go through both pieces again away from yourself, then pull the thread almost all the way through. Now notice I didn't go all the way through and pull it tight. There's still a tiny loop left there. So this is where we bring it back around, take the needle back through this loop with the thread and pull it tight. So to show you that again, we will go over a little bit, go through with the needle, pull it almost all the way through, and then bring the needle back around and go through that little loop and pull away from yourself until it is nice and tight. After a few stitches, if you're doing this right, you should notice it creating this ridge, and this is what is going to keep the stuffing in and make sure that your plush is real durable. So you continue this process, like I said before, joining 3 of the sides. And when you've reached this point, we will fasten off. Take the remainder of your thread, loop it like you're about to tie a big knot, and then place your needle right where the last stitch was. Then you just slowly pull it tight, and this will create a knot, and the needle is gonna lead it right into the place it needs to be. Now I tend to do this twice just to make sure that it is completely secure. What you have now should look like a little pouch, and at this point we're gonna practice the finishing technique that we will use for these little guys. Turn the pouch inside out, then with a little bit of stuffing, fill the pouch. Obviously, more stuffing will create a firmer plush, and less will create a squishier plush, so just kind of go where you feel led with that. Then you'll notice we have just this little bit left to finish off. Now this is where the whip stitch comes into play. Like before, we will thread the needle and tie a knot at the back. We will start by going into one of the sides of this seam and then out. Then we will go across and out the other side like this, and then the same for the other side. So really just back and forth like a zigzag. And this is pretty much what people think of when they think of sewing, so it's relatively intuitive. At this point, all you need to do is fasten off as before, and you have a little felt plush. So that is it for the first little practice activity. Kind of looks like just a little pillow, like approximately big enough for a ratatouille. And all you need to do is take a picture of this, upload it to Canvas, and just make sure that you take your needle, put it in that little pillow, and keep track of where that is, because you will need the needle next time when we are making the felt plush banana.
What you doing in the club on a Thursday? She said she only here for a girl birthday.